Hi, I'm the Blastosaurus guy. What beats dinosaurs and ray guns and something like that?
Bait for the bait throw. Trash for the trash throw. Welcome to my motion of thunder zone. I am creative nothingness. I am creative nothingness.
Hello, my name is Christopher Albright. This is Panel by Panel, a show in which we read your favorite memoirs. And today with me is a man who is no stranger to cease and desist from Disney's Pixar's. We have Mr. Richard Fairgray. How are you doing today, buddy?
Jesus fucking Christ. I cannot believe the the video footage you just found of me. The video of me talking at the beginning, that is like based on the corner of the, I think, Ghost Everybody Dies poster behind me in it, but it's not next to another one. So that must be the Armageddon Convention 2011, I think. So like it's very rare to even hear my like New Zealand accent still exist. So that was troubling. And also the slide that I'm going down in that last video, I recently went back to that playground and the slide is now gone. And I broke into it at night and went on the new slide. It was okay. Not as good as the old one. So memories,
Fantastic. I'm so glad that you appreciated that. I was like, either he's gonna hate this or he'll like this.
And those other clips, they're from a promotional video for Black Sand Beach that I did in like COVID times, which I didn't even know was on the internet. I thought it was used for wow, you dug deep.
I dug deep, and I really enjoyed the black actually you flapping as a vampire man was my favorite thing in the world. I was like, oh, I gotta use this one.
What's amazing is you didn't. So I did 2 videos for that same promotional tour. And in the other one, throughout the video, I'm gradually putting on a Hamburglar costume and never addressing it.
I don't think I watched all of them. I watched a lot of them. So, Mr. Richard Fairgray, I appreciate you finally being on. I've been so excited to get you here. Where do people know you from?
Grinder, mostly. So I have had an incredibly long career in comics. I've been publishing for 34 years. Back in the old days, I was born and raised in New Zealand, and I created my own little industry there. There was an indie comic scene, but it was very like zine focused and very photocopying forward, shall we say. And so when I was a teenager, I kind of just decided I'm on TV for a handful of things for some stand-up comedy stuff I was doing. I can probably get some sponsorship and do like semi-professional printing. And I just kind of like built a career during college through that. And then in 2007, 2007, I had created this character called Blastosaurus, who was a crime-fighting dinosaur. It was just a little like side thing I was doing as a gag, and I put him as a fake commercial break in another one of my books. And then one of my comics was found by someone on a film set, and that person reached out to me, and I recognized their Gmail profile picture and was like, I know you from silverdaddies.com. You are name redacted. And he was like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, we've had a lot of webcam sex. We should talk more. And basically he then was like, here, fly to Australia where we're filming a movie, which I should not give away too many details because together who it is. But basically I ended up having a bunch of meetings with people at Fox. And I had 3 things optioned, and I was like just out of college. I was about to give up on any kind of happiness and become a high school teacher. I thought the comics were kind of going to be my past. And suddenly I was like, fuck this, I can do this forever. And so Blastosaurus got optioned. I went into a panic. I didn't want to like lose ownership of it. So I wanted to have like some proof of concept out in the world. So I started releasing the issues in New Zealand. It kind of took off. Long story longer, 8 years later, I gave away everything I owned, or I sold every book I had for $1, like $1 each, and every book came with a personal item. And then I packed up all my things and flew to LA and have been here for the past 11 years.
So that's where everyone knows him from.
Well, so I didn't answer your question, did I? Yeah. So New Zealanders knew me from Blastosaurus, and then when I got here, that got relaunched as a title from Golden Apple Books, and then I started doing other kids' book stuff. I had like 11 picture books at that point, and then I did Black Sand Beach and Cardboardio, which were these 2 ongoing middle grade graphic novel series. Blah blah blah, big piles of money. Got sick of it. Got tired of like doing things for kids when I'm a fucking like. I'm a good person, but I'm a dirtbag, and I'm always worried that like someone's gonna just like Google me and be like, "Hey, Richard Fairgray, who wrote my favorite picture book, also talks a lot about poppers." So I launched Richard Sucks, my little imprint where I put out my first memoir, and now it's 62 books later, 62 titles later, some of them just short pieces and anthologies, but 62 titles later, 3 years in, I am now exclusively doing weird niche shit, including my new memoir, Oops All Richards.
Which segues us into us. What is a memoir exactly?
A memoir it's an autobiographical piece, in this case in comic book form, where some people will write epic memoirs that cover their entire lives. I think those are pretty reductive and boring. I think that like the general advice is you should never make a memoir until you're distant enough to be objective, and I think that's fucking dull. So I make memoirs that are about recent events often, and I try to capture, like, in all honesty, like how I feel about the events, rather than I try to represent what the aftermath of them is, more so than the 100% accuracy of the events as they take place. And I have learned over the years that if you spend your life being scared of people finding out the mess that you really are, then you never like fully express yourself, and you're always kind of stuck being something else publicly. So I just try to be 100% me and the sloppiest fucking mess I can.
I love it. I love that answer. We are about to read Oops All Richards. Is that the
Yes.
correct title?
Yes.
Now, I tried to find the cover. I actually made a mistake here. So the cover we're about to look at is just a picture, full picture here. Go ahead and tell me why you chose this as your cover.
Because I think that marketing is a comic making skill. Because dinosaurs are cool. Because this story is a story about someone putting themselves back together. This is a story about lots of little broken pieces. And originally the plan for this book was to collect some of the short pieces that I'd done, short memoir pieces words are hard today. Short memoir pieces I'd done for other people's anthologies, and put them out as like a series of floppy issues, and call it "I'm tired of backing entire Kickstarter anthologies just to get one Richard Fairgray story." But I thought that was mean, so instead I called it Oops All Richards, and then I decided to start doing like a little wraparound story for it. It was going to be 3 short stories and an 8-page wraparound piece, and then some shit went down, which we'll get into when we look at the actual comic. But the stories involved in this volume involve dinosaurs and pirates and paper cup telephones, and so this just felt like the natural thing to draw.
Absolutely. We do have already a few comments. Fantastic to meet Richard at Heroes. He is an excellent salesperson. I am in for the next one. Also, marketing is a comic book making skill. A callback to Mr. Stokes.
Yeah, it is a direct quote from Anthony Stokes.
Shout out Stokes. Let's go ahead. You want to go ahead and see the first chapter? This might get messy, everybody. I'm still trying to figure this one out here. Bam! This is chapter 1, right?
Yep.
I've created this. Okay. Go ahead and tell me what is happening on these first 2 pages.
So this is my husband and I on a train as some things are beginning to take hold, and different voices are maybe operating as angels and devils on my shoulders and giving me perhaps good, perhaps bad advice. I honestly still don't know. These are the voices in my head. These are the other versions of me splitting off and telling me that if I can just do everything exactly right, if I can just stay still at the right speed, that I can detach from everything, because if I detach from everything, I can absolutely get all the work done that I want to get done. This is the result of, as it comes up on a later page, a fan at San Diego Comic-Con gave me some mushrooms, and a week later, my husband and I were on a train heading toward downtown LA as they hit.
How many mushroom trips do you think you've done?
Ooh, well, so this is an interesting question, and I want to preface this by saying that I am a permanent resident of Canada, where they are legal. So they are more. I'm not really like a mushroom trip guy. I'm
Really?
I'm a microdose guy. And one of the things with this is that, like, these mushrooms that were given to me by the same fan who'd given me mushrooms the year before hit a lot harder than the previous ones. I think I've only maybe had 3 real mushroom trip, like full on mushroom trips in my life. And
No,
this one hit hard and lasted a long time.
they stick with you. Mr. Hakimi, real quick, a note up from him. Some really fun paneling. The paneling that you do, every paneling that I've ever seen from you, I'm always like, wow, like it really does blow me away. I love the way you experiment with the panels. When you did, let's say, page 2 here on that paneling, what goes into the thought process behind it?
Well, I kind of knew that this was, visually, it could have been a really boring moment. This is just me kind of grappling with the fact that I'm hearing things that Ray isn't hearing, and that the things are fucking me up. And I can show that with facial expressions, and I can show that with some dynamic angles, but it is just dialogue and reaction. And I decided, like, if the comic becomes an extension of me, if a comic can become an extension, if the panels, if I am now the comic story, then why wouldn't the comic become fucked up in the same way? And so the decision here was to use a pretty standard format and just make it all wibbly wobbly, and have the kind of the idea of, like, you're seeing through the page to the thing that is behind the page. You're seeing the influence here.
Oh, I dig that. Are we ready to move on to the next 2 pages?
Sure.
Yes, sir. Let's see what we got. Go ahead and tell me what's happening on these pages.
And so this is me realizing we need to get off the train and running out as now 3 versions of myself. The green one is the central main version of me, and this blue and purple version splitting off, and realizing almost immediately that this train station isn't real. I'm willing to admit, in hindsight, the train station probably was real, and that I was incorrect. But my husband, who had taken the same amount of mushrooms as me, didn't seem to be affected by it at all. So he was confused, and I grabbed him and pulled him back on the train, leaving the other versions of me behind, separating us so that they can go off and have their own adventures. And then the second page on the screen is sort of some flashes for flashback and some flashes forward to where those other 2 versions of me were going to end up. One of them punching through the window of my office, and the other wandering alone in the dark in the Chicago streets after being removed from his hotel by the police.
So all true stories, is that right?
Yep.
Fantastic.
I was at the point that I'm on the train, I'm 7 weeks into an 11-week run where I did 9 conventions, and the 10th week is the Chicago alone in the dark moment there. So it's a little raw right now, because it's the same run of conventions, but right now I'm in week 5 of a 13-week run of 13 conventions, and it's a little harrowing to wonder how well I'll do this time, because everything in the world is a lot more chaotic than it was last year.
It's absolutely insane. We have, again, Hakimi saying that he loves the limited use of colors. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next 2 pages. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yes, sir. And here we are. This was the page that I was actually really excited to get to. The first page on this scene. The top-down perspective is incredible to me. Go ahead and tell me about these two pages as well.
This is about capturing, like, if the comic is an extension of me, it's because other people see faces everywhere they look. I see comics and dicks everywhere I look. I see things that make comic panels everywhere I go, and this is me walking through one of those environments. This is trying to take the DeLuca effect of having like multiple images of the same person as they take some action, as Daredevil does some punching or Spider-Man does some jumps or whatever. But this is me showing like the environment doesn't need to change. This could have been done as 4 or 5 very boring panels of me walking around a train in mid close-up.
Mhm.
But no, this is these mushrooms are the thing underpinning it all. They are the cross that forms up the pattern on the floor. I mean, there's some loose allusions to religious imagery. Back on the first page, I am sort of standing with my arms outstretched as if I am being crucified, but I'm just holding onto the train for dear life. And here I am walking across a large cross that is, the voice of God behind me, the voice of the story behind me, saying that like something is fucked up, and this man who I love more than anything in the world is not going to keep up with me, and I'm going to have to make a very difficult choice between the work I want to do, the things I want to achieve, and actually having a normal human life.
Which again, that one of my favorite pages, especially for what you just said there. I was like, this is good. This first page, the way that again it's top down. Beforehand, I felt like I was you, right? Like I'm reading, going, okay, I'm this person kind of, and now I'm out of perspective and I'm looking down and I'm no longer in that first person mode mentally.
Well, that's a big part of the plan here is like we left the other 2 versions of Richard behind.
Mhm.
You don't get to be, if I am only 1/3 of myself right now, then why the fuck does the reader get to be me as well?
Fantastic.
Sort of the
Yes.
plan here. And then this is us getting out at another train station, which at first I believe is real. And then I start noticing that perhaps this is once again another illusion that perhaps my husband has orchestrated, because I begin to believe at this point that he is working against me, and that because it was his idea to get on the train, that he is somehow trying to lure me away from Hollywood and the place where I am happiest.
Oh my gosh.
Again, I'm not the hero of this story.
I was gonna say, like, I want to be nice, but at the same time, you're saying this, like, you know what? It's kind of mean.
Yep. Yeah,
but this is a memoir. This is being honest. So when it comes to writing these memoirs, when it comes to the ego aspect, because you have to have an ego to write about yourself, right? Or do we strip it completely away? What's happening here with that?
I think it's this constant battle between the two. I certainly do hate myself, but I also think I'm fascinating. Like I have to think I'm fascinating to analyze myself to the level I do. But I also have to be very aware that like it's going to take a lot to make a very small story about me interesting to other people. Because, there's a world where this is just, hey, remember that time Richard took mushrooms and went on a train and had some emotional stuff? That's not anything. It is all in the telling. Like it's all in the structure of it. And it's all in the, like, trying to give people the experience of pushing them in and out constantly of, you are seeing how I'm seeing the world. You are seeing me see the world. You are seeing the world from my perspective. You are seeing the perspective of what it's like to be me from somewhere else. And I'm trying to like, to destabilize you at all times with this.
Go ahead.
But I think that like that with the ego stuff, it really comes down to like I have learned the hard way over many interviews and many public appearances and many years of having to pretend things for other people or for, safety or ease of getting through day to day, that it's just not worth it. And the only thing I can do is like go at full speed of like complete and total bare ass honesty.
Fantastic. If to pull it away from all that for just a second, just for writers or people who want to do art, Is there one piece of advice when it comes to paneling or deciding how to lay out your scenes like this that you would give anyone?
I mean, the way I approach it is just to make sure I never get bored. Um, like there's there's an unlimited amount of possibilities between the top left and bottom right on a comic page. And we are working in a medium that has been codified by superheroes very fast, and we've gone digital very fast. And I think that what we can work with now is like an exploration of the 11 by 17 Bristol board that is the true infinite canvas, because we've just accepted a lot of rules, and those rules, clarity is the only thing that really matters. Clarity and emotion. So I say, learn every single part of how a comic is made, learn the formalist aspects of it, and then just experiment wildly. I mean, I'm putting out 20 books this year, and I'm putting out like a lot of pretty wild experimental stuff. And people look at that and they think, oh, well, he's just, kind of just churning out work and putting out everything he puts out. I throw out pages constantly. I tear things up all the time when they don't work. I will get 90% of the way through a page and say, this isn't quite what I want it to be. And fuck deadlines. It doesn't really matter. Like, it's better to be late and put out. I mean, I've never been late with anything, but it would be better to be late hypothetically than to put out a work that wasn't actually doing the thing that you're intending it to do.
Yes. All right. All right. Hakimi here again. There's a sort of a orthographic approach to the comic. Reminds him of architectural drawings, as though it's a blueprint of yourself. That's what he's seeing on these pages.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, I thought it was a really good one too. We're gonna move on to the next two pages here, and go ahead. Tell me what's happening.
Well, there's my very normal 72 panel page. This comes a little bit from spite. There was I'm not going to say his name, but there was just a real dummy who was spouting off on Twitter a few years ago about how he never puts more than 5 panels per page in his comic scripts because he respects his artist's time. And my response to that was, fuck you, your comics are bad and your artist is bored and hates you. And 2 things that I've had confirmed, by the way. I did talk to the artist. And so I always just try and I try to average 8 to 10 panels per page most of the time. And I like to show that you can do these really outlandish things. And 72 was just a number I'd never done before. And I thought, if I can represent something with this, and it's all the tiny things around the train station that are a little bit off. So everything in those panels, all those things are things that would be at an LA train station, but changed just a little bit to not quite make sense. And it's that idea of when I wanted to capture that sense of when you're a little high or a little drunk and you believe that your brain is working at a higher level and you believe you're noticing things that no one else could have ever noticed. And it might just be that you're processing shit wrong, but that way that you feel like you are a fucking security camera capturing every single thing and you have to tell everyone about it. That's what I wanted to do here.
So as far as a mushroom trip, so far this has captured it perfectly for me, because I'm like, oh, I remember this. I remember doing this too. This is great. Let's go into the next page. What's happening here on this one?
And so this is me addressing it and grabbing my husband and pulling him back onto the train, and then watching as the station collapses behind us, because of course it was all made of toilet rolls and tape and cardboard. And that is something I really felt like I was seeing. There's no exaggeration in this part. I also think this is the closest to a failure of a page. I find it. Yeah, I find it really difficult with this kind of stuff because I'm not really a splash panel guy. I don't want to do big action scenes, as I don't want to show the world's hardest punch. When I do a splash panel, it's usually to show someone being very lonely and sad and small in an empty space. But I went back and forth, and there's a version of this where you see 4 pages of the train station collapsing. You see this sort of disaster movie moment of the train rushing out of there, as the bricks and mortar and escalators give way, and as they fall, they turn into what is that last panel there. And I scrapped it because it was just like, this is not, it didn't feel like my kind of comic. But
Interesting.
I think about it a lot, and I think that we'll see. Look, the book hasn't gone to print yet. Maybe I'll put that back in.
Absolutely. This is the last of this chapter, right? There's nothing
Mhm.
after this.
Yeah.
So at the end of this, I remember thinking that poor sweet husband having to put up with this. That was like the only thing on my mind.
Keep in mind, he's high too. He's just not as high as
It's not as high. But I was like, oh, it's this guy. He's just putting up with it. Okay. So that is the first chapter. Is there anything else you want to say before we move on to the next chapter?
No, I mean, I'm very aware that it's a strange introduction to a story.
It is.
I sort of, as I mentioned, like this is the fourth memoir. The first one is like very straightforward. It's seven discrete pieces put together out of order that cover 18 months of my life, where I got divorced, stole a boat, tried to disappear at sea, moved to Hollywood, met this wonderful man, and tried not to destroy him by turning into an octopus, which is a nightmare I've had my whole life. And the second one is about like trying to see how far I can push myself in comics before one or the other breaks. And it's all about the time they found a lump in my neck that I thought was cancer that turned out to be scar tissue from giving too many blowjobs, or at least giving blowjobs too enthusiastically, because I've done the fucking work. And it works as this sort of experimental comic piece. And then I'd done Get My Head Straight, which is like this. It's capturing 3 weeks where like it's the 3 weeks that are happening as I'm writing and drawing the comic. So it's another experiment, but it's like very much about the feelings in the moment. And this one, like, I think it does stand alone. I think it really functions on its own as a whole piece. This covers a year of my life. But certainly this first chapter, I worry how overwhelming this is going to be if someone has not read the first 3 or at least met me.
No, this is my first seeing of it, but I was aware of you in the first place. So it was like, well, I get some of this. Hakimi's final thing here is would you agree with the statement, delayed art is eventually good, rushed art is forever bad?
No, not at all.
No. I was thinking that was a slam dunk for him. Explain yourself. We'll move on.
Because, like, sometimes you capture something really special. Like, give yourself. I do these little 100-page horror books where my rule with them is, because like I have a lot of ideas, and my goal is to eventually be a ghost. But I want to be a ghost with like unfinished pleasure, not business, so that I can like have a good time. So every time I have an idea for a story, I got to do something with it. Otherwise, I'm going to be trapped with comics to make. So I make these little 100-page horror books where as soon as I have the idea for a small, creepy story, I just take 3 Ritalin and I work nonstop until the book is made. And the rule is if I finish it in 24 hours, it gets published. If I don't, it gets scrapped. Because there's this sensation I talk about a lot in my work of having too much blood, where an idea is good and working when it feels like you're going to explode if you don't do something with it. And you can create some of the most rushed art in the world that captures a feeling. It might not be technically brilliant. It might, but like you're capturing it. You're really like, you're putting something onto paper that no one else could do, and even you couldn't do in a different moment. And that is the kind of raw and open work that connects with people. And like I've put out 11 of these little books so far in the past year, and they are things that have like there are books that make people go ugh, a lot when they read them, because they do connect. And I think like that's a much better kind of art than like if I sat down and thought about it and I was like, oh, I wonder what would happen if blah blah blah, and thought about the idea for forever and turned it into something else. You as soon as it's the shark thing, it stops moving, it dies. Rushed art can be amazing.
Fantastic. Raw, inspirational, just honest, right? All the time. We're moving on to, this is chapter 2, right?
Yep. This is the first of the short stories.
I was very worried I was getting to the wrong one. 2 dinosaurs. Now, I did not read this one, I'll be honest with you. So you have to carry me through the whole thing.
So this is a piece that was originally done for an anthology called Pots and Panels that is sort of
Oh my
Mhm,
god.
mhm.
That is an infamous one. Go
The
ahead.
infamous unfulfilled Kickstarter campaign that mysteriously jumped from $13,000 to $30,000 on the last day. That has an email chain 400 long of people complaining and reaching out to lawyers and blah blah blah. I did a story that I was never paid for that I would really like people to see. Uh, it is about the stories in the book were all meant to be about our relationship to food, a specific food. And so I
Mhm.
wanted to tell the story of the time that as a child, I was struggling to choose a piece of candy or a $1 worth of candy, and I bought a raptor's egg, a large, disgusting looking thing that I then ate, despite it tasting truly foul, because I wasn't willing to admit to my friends that I had made a poor choice with that entire dollar I'd spent. And then I got real sick. And that is kind of the whole story, honestly. And I wanted this to feel really, really like clear and laid out. This is about this very methodical practice of like, I have made a decision, I will follow it through. And about over the course of the story, how those things start to leak out as other influences come in. You know, I can keep all these things in these 16 panel grids on every page, but as soon as things are upsetting the story that I'm trying to tell, i.e., influences from other kids questioning my decisions, that's when these panels start to break out and spread across multiple panels like this.
That
Um,
was going to be my question. That was the 16 panel structure. You said meticulous. I was like, I see it now. I understand the meticulousness of this. And the idea of kids having the rituals, fantastic. Um, so that's the first two. You made this choice. You ate this egg here. Or should we move on to the next two
yeah,
pages for this?
sure.
Okay, let's go ahead and see some more. Then still meticulous, but I see the problems. Go ahead. Let me know what's happening there.
So I just got massively butt sick for like days and just the most excruciating pain of my life. And like I've been through some pretty bad bowel related pain in my life, not to brag. Um, when I was 4, I ate 11 bananas for a long and complicated reasoning. But it turns out that that just fills a child entirely, and nothing has hurt more in my life until this, when just it felt like my entire stomach was going to explode. And I just spent a long time shitting out this horrifying, brightly colored foam. And that's what you're seeing there. Some of the most delightful diarrhea in a comic book. And then,
I'm stopping us. Hold on. I gotta stop. Where did the egg come from? Where did this egg actually come from? What is it? Does it end? Do we find out at the end, or is this?
well, so then this is what we're seeing here on page 4 of the story is me explaining this to my dear friend Lucy, who has heard far worse from me over the years.
Mhm.
And she Googles it, and she's
Oh
like, Richard,
no.
this was not candy at all. This was a Jurassic Park merchandise tie-in that you were meant to put in water, and the egg would dissolve, and a velociraptor would grow out of this egg. And she buys me one on eBay because she is a truly caring friend.
Oh my god. I'm glad I didn't read this. Like I seriously, I was like, it looks okay. We'll check it out later. Um, this is wonderful. I have to stop. I have to stop and ask a question about the second page. You chose to grid it out eight panels for that scene. Why did you do that?
Again, because this is Lucy questioning me. She's like, Richard, you've told me
Okay.
a horrifying story. uh, Let me just situate us in the real fucking world here, where your panels don't matter. We are sitting here talking about this. Why the fuck did you do this? And clearly, here I'm going to show you it's a goddamn toy that you ate and shat out.
That's all my mind was going to. I'm so glad that this gets answered. Let's move on to the next part here and see.
So she buys me the
Damn.
egg. And
Oh no.
that's great and everything. Unfortunately, then I am alone, and I look at this egg that I have sitting on my mantle, and I think, well, I was like a dumb, weak baby when I first ate that egg. No wonder it made me ill. I bet now that I'm a big, tough grown-up, I could eat it and it would be no problem. And so I did.
Just don't even know. Is this the end of this? I don't even
There's
know.
two more pages.
There's two
There's
more
two more
pages.
pages.
You
'Cause-
ate you hold on, you actually ate the egg?
There's me eating the egg right there at the end of that 6th page.
So hold on. No, hold on. Wait, hold on. So you knew that this was a toy. You
Yeah.
understood what happened. No. You understood what happened before.
But I was
You
a
understood-
dumb, weak
no.
child.
When's the last time you ate 11 bananas?
When I was, I hate bananas now.
No.
But so the difference is that I fucking loved bananas. But when you shit out something that is the texture of banana that smells like banana and it hurts you more than anything, the smell of banana puts you off.
I don't care. You could have ate 11 bananas to prove that you were a dumb, weak boy. Instead, you chose to eat a toy to prove it. You had two stories, similar stories, parallel. You had two choices to make, and you chose the fucking egg, dude.
I had to see what would happen.
Okay. All right.
You don't-
chose.
Okay, like, you know when you walk under a door frame, don't you ever think, I wonder if I can jump up and hit that now? And then sometimes you do it, and you're like, fuck, I hurt my hand because I forgot that I'm tall now, and I just slam straight into it because I could just do it. Well, it's that. It's that you forget that you've changed, and so you have to test yourself.
Okay, so we're a full-grown adult. We eat the egg. Let's see what happens next.
Oh, look, I got even more butt sick. And it hurt a lot more. And I ended up just lying in my bathtub in an awful lot of pain, just shitting out foam through the night. And
11 bananas. That's all we had to do was 11 bananas.
My firm belief here is it's because now I have not one but two dinosaurs fighting inside my tummy.
Okay. That was chapter 2. No questions, no concerns.
I haven't eaten a third one, if that's what you're asking.
I was so much more concerned about the story and about you there. I really have no questions. Great job. Good job.
Thanks.
Any final things to say before we move on to the next chapter?
No, I think that this is a story where I am the hero. I take a bold approach to life, and sometimes it backfires, but I survive.
Before we got on, I was thinking about what I would introduce you as, and it was going to be like the man to eat at least 3 AAA batteries. But I was like, no, that might be rude. Like, why would he think that I think he eats random shit like this? So yeah, I misshot, I guess. Let's go ahead and we'll move on to our third chapter. Here we are now. Are we back at the train station for this one?
We're back at the train station. Those two that were the two versions of me that were left behind when we ran back onto the train are there, trying to figure out what the fuck to do with their lives now. And then they see the train come by, and the purple one decides to run after it. And he runs down the train tunnel to 2 weeks later. Through a whole, he's the guy who gets to skip past all the events in between to go and be the version of me that needs to end up in Chicago, while the blue one will go off and have his own adventure in chapter 5.
Okay. Now, you said each one was a different story. Are they different? I'm trying to think of the right word, not personalities necessarily, but emotions as well, or is this just strictly stories?
It's that I think that we become who we need to be to survive certain moments. And I know that I try to never change based on social pressures. I try to always be 100% authentic in all interactions. But I also know that there's the version of me that needs to obsessively see a movie in a movie theater every day, or I feel like I'm completely adrift. And there's the version of me that like really likes going to sex clubs on Sunday afternoons when there's a discount for seniors. And there's the version of me who never wants to talk to another person again because I want to be working and I want to be left alone, because I firmly believe that there's like some great thing that I can and will create if I just find the right amount of time to do it. And this is a point where I'm so worn thin by all of this travel and all of the shit going on in the world and all the books I'm putting out that those versions are no longer things I can switch between. They were starting to feel like three separate versions. I was starting to remember things as if they were things I'd been told about. And so there are three short stories within the book, the dinosaur one, the pirate one, and the paper cup one. But then there is this wraparound piece about the versions of me splitting off, hence the oops all Richards of it all. And how, you know, the version of me who ends up in Chicago is not the same person I was a week earlier in Boston, or the same person I was a week before that, running away from the train.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to put it in any clearer terms than that.
No, it absolutely as clear as it needed to be. We're going to move on to our next 2 pages and see what happens. Go ahead.
And so this is me running past the version of me who went a week ahead to Boston and sold a bunch of comics and talked about a bunch of shit. And through an art event where I made some big social fuck-ups because I was drunk and just a little bit, just struggling a little to just even function. And then to me realizing that my sandwich was missing and beginning to fall apart. At the end of that first page there, that is the first puzzle piece is really falling away. And that is the first clear sign that, like, as I said before, the comic is an extension of me. The frames are an extension of me. And this is where they crumble.
What I love about your work, these are all hand-drawn, right?
Yeah.
And the idea of doing, puzzle pieces or the straight line, like all of this to me is just, it makes it so much better. It adds a whole new layer of craft to me whenever I see these things. Do we go over the second page already?
No, so this is then cutting back to me that night on the train, where the mushrooms are starting to wear off. We've arrived back at the Hollywood and Vine station, not the normal station that I get off at, but we got off there. I try to like really obsessively capture certain details. I'm not really sure why. I think I am. I'm sort of sure why. I think that when people talk about LA and when people talk about Hollywood, especially, it's mostly represented in a way that feels like someone looking at it through a telescope.
Mhm.
And I don't care if you know that the Hollywood and Vine metro station has film reels as its ceiling, but it matters to me that I get that detail correct. I don't care if you know that like the entrance is right by the W Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard. I don't care if like it's not about whether you know these things are right. It's about having enough detail in there that you feel that you're in the world.
Yeah.
So this is all obsessively researched with me going and photographing all of the exact spaces I walk through. I spent so much money making this, not so much money. I spent such an annoying amount of money on this book by having to like pay to get into train stations when I'm not actually going to take a train anywhere. Like it's $1.75 each time, which is really nothing. But like when I'm sitting in my office working and I'm like, ah, shit, I really need to go and like double check on that one thing to see what that sign says. And then it's a 20-minute walk to the fucking train station and then paying $1.75 to not even go anywhere. And you get in there and you're taking like a picture of it. And you're like, I could just take a train somewhere just to like feel like I have,
Yeah.
So I love the train in Hollywood. I love the trains in LA in general. Like they're full of wonderful people. But yeah, so this is me as I feel like the drugs are wearing off and kind of showing that the influence of these two versions of me is still in there. They're off having their own adventures, but we are all existing in the same timeline. So they are there screaming these things that I can't really say to my husband about my fear that he's slowing me down. Because the reality of this is that I am married to a man who's 40 years older than me. who he's wonderful, but he's slower than I am, and that's just a reality of age. And I travel 35 weekends a year to go to conventions, and I live in Hollywood, and he lives just south of Vancouver, and I fly back and forth constantly in between these shows, and I spend as much time with him as I can. But like, he likes to be in bed by 11 p.m., and I like to be up till 4, or I like to be up for 3 days straight, because sometimes I just feel like completely fucking wired when I'm not even on anything because I've had a really good idea to make something. And he's wonderful, but like there is always this fear that like I don't want to slow down for someone before it's my time to slow down. And that's where, the mushrooms are bringing all these fears to the surface, obviously, and making them all incredibly literal. But he's also like my anchor, and this wonderful man who I spend a lot of time caring about and looking after as well. Who I find it very hard to express that I need him in these moments when I feel like I'm flailing, because from a distance or from Canada, it looks like I'm doing fine, because I do get up every morning at 6 a.m. and come to the office and make books again. And like I said, I've never had a book late. I've never not fulfilled a Kickstarter ahead of schedule. I've never missed a convention. I've never, any of those things that would be a sign to the outside world that something was wrong has never happened. And then, like, it means that when I do reach my breaking point, which frankly I did last year, it's far messier than it would have been, because the faster you move, the smaller the obstacle needs to be that's really going to trip you up.
Yeah, no. When it comes to this, and you're talking about your husband, you're talking about all that. I don't want to go too far into it for you, but it is interesting that you're the main character. You're not the hero, right? Like, there are these things that I'm reading, and I'm going, man, like, I feel for the other person in this relationship because of what this man is saying. But these are all honest feelings. These are all honest and true. And it's also something that I if I'm not being honest with myself, then I also feel that same way at certain points for other people or other things that I shouldn't feel that way for. These are all just honest facts that we're all going to go through.
And to be clear, he cannot hear the blue or the purple text.
Of course, of course. But this really, it's such a good, deep view of the relationship versus the job or the hobby or whatever you want to call it these days, versus that. Are you ready to move on to our next 2 pages? Let us see. Is this the last 2 pages?
No, there's 2 more after this.
2 more. Again,
or like
incredible paneling.
another pair of pages after this, at least.
Sir.
So this is us walking down Hollywood Boulevard again, incredibly accurate to the time and space, and once again I'm doing the thing of showing us multiple times in the same frame, but having the stars from the boulevard filled with mushrooms and circle around us. I wanted to feel like we were both being separated by the mushrooms, and like I was about to be choked by them. But this is me sort of ranting about what I want and what I think I can achieve, or what I think could be possible. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one to really make clear. It's me capturing the moment of walking in a straight line down a street and then arriving at a bunch of other corners, and walking past the street signs because I want to give people a very accurate idea of where we are, and then arriving at the entrance to my office, where I am right now at Crossroads of the World. And the fish thing is just sort of it's just a little Easter egg for people who have read Haunted Hill and who have followed me. There is a fish in the fountain here at Crossroads at the back of the complex. So for people who don't know, Crossroads of the World is this like incredible, like it's like a shitty theme park for adults with no rides. It's just 7 buildings of different architectural styles from around the world, and then a replica of a cruise ship in the middle. And there's in the front of the cruise ship, there's a big spike with a globe that's turning, and there's a replica of it on Main Street at Disney World. Basically, as the story goes, that in the 20s, there was a gangster who owned all this land. He was running liquor during Prohibition. He gets shot by the cops. His wife goes on this cruise around the world and is so disappointed by the fashion in America that she builds this place as this like open air mall to bring high fashion to Los Angeles. And the Depression hits, it all falls into disrepair, and then gets rejuvenated in the 70s and becomes mostly like recording studios and some offices and things. And there was like restaurants and comedy clubs at different points. And now it's this sad husk of what it was. And I have an office here until next Tuesday when I move out. But I've been here for 10 years, and it's this perfect encapsulation of like all of the weird sadness of Hollywood of like, let's just slap another layer on and see what happens. Let's add another story to it. You know, for a long time, the tenant in the boat-shaped building next door to my office was just doing like nude karaoke of Dire Straits songs every afternoon at 4. It just became a thing that was like a normal part of my life. There's an awful lot of people try to break in. There's, you know, like the first day I was here, I was bringing boxes of one of my children's books up the stairs, and this like group of guys come over and they're like, hey, do you need some help? I was like, sure. And they help me carry all these boxes up the stairs. I start talking with them and I tell them what I do and things. And then I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're here. We recorded a song here like 30 years ago. And we're here to like do the, you know, a new version of it for the anniversary. I was like, oh, cool. What's the song? They're like, oh, do you know the song Gangsta's Paradise? I was like, I do fucking know the song Gangsta's Paradise. I look at this guy, I'm like, so I'm sorry, is Coolio helping me move right now? Like, it's a beautiful moment. And it was the same day that I saw Peter Engels pissing at a urinal with his pants around his ankles. So like, it was just real Hollywood shit. And I'm obsessed with this fish because for years, I would point out the fish. I'd take a lot of photos of this fish. I do a lot of selfies with this fucking ugly fish that's been there since 1926. I've named her Busy Fish Lips. And I would always say, I bet someone's fucked that fish. And everyone would say, Richard, no one's ever fucked this fish. It's made of cement. And then one day I came in at like 3 a.m. and I hear this noise coming from the fountain. And I look and there's a drunk guy in a nice suit just fucking going to town on that fish mouth. And so I sit down on a bench opposite him and I watch him. And he says, what are you doing? I was like, you don't get to ask any questions, sir. I'm not going to miss this. And I watched him fuck this fish for 20 minutes. And he, you know, finished, got up and wandered away. And I was like, that I will never forget this. And the next day I walked past and I looked at the fish, and it was the first time I'd ever seen it with no cobwebs in its mouth. And so I'm going to miss this fish dearly. And this fish has been on the cover of issue 2 of Haunted Hill. It appears in issue 2 of Haunted Hill in the comic as well, because they walk through Crossroads. It is the basis for the ceramic fish with the dick on it that the old women are all obsessed with in Shed. It is on the cover of my sketchbook from last year. And it's also on the cover of issue 13 of Haunted Hill as a photograph on the phone screen. I take selfies with everyone who comes to visit me with this fish. It's a beautiful thing. So I decided if I'm going to be high on mushrooms and going to my office, I might as well climb in through the fish mouth and slide down the tongue to get in. That was way too long a story to explain why there's a goddamn fish there.
I appreciate that. Real Hollywood shit. I mean, the whole story was real Hollywood shit. Let's go to our final page. I'm really not. I'm kind of at a loss, really, to even what you're supposed to say after this. You did great. You explained some stuff. It was good. Let's see. Final page.
And here I am stumbling into my office as I realize the drugs are still having an effect. And I realized that this first page here could have been incredibly easy. There's actually one more page after this. Is a single page. But anyway,
I'm sorry.
I forgot that it's a 9-page chapter because the next short story in the book is only 5 pages long. So I realized that like I have 11 lamps set up around my various desks because I, like normal people, my office has 9 desks in it with different projects set up. And so I have all these different lamps around the main two drawing desks. And I thought, why am I going to draw a simple panel layout when I can use the arms of these lamps to construct all the gutters for this page? And then I just kind of went hog wild with it.
Yes, you did. I love that, looking at the simple things around you and just going, okay, we'll make this wild and crazy. Why is your hand popping? What happened there, buddy?
Well, this is me, and you see it turns blue. This is me seeing another timeline. This is me seeing what's going to happen to. It's a little bit of foreshadowing for what's going to happen to the blue version of me who ran ahead by a week. It's and because this is me looking at my hand, realizing something's wrong. It appears in a Ziploc bag taped to my wrist. It swells, it pops, it turns into puzzle pieces. I then see that my husband's shirt has turned into puzzle piece patterns, and I realize I was right. He is going to betray me. And so I leave while he is kindly making us a drink. And I will say kindly making us a drink. I would say that we should not have had a drink. I think that this is a moment where he makes a bad decision too. But I'm freaking the fuck out. This is not me making rational decisions. And I knew that this page was going to have to be really straightforward because that's a lot of weird shit to convey.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I couldn't do anything experimental with layouts. That had to be, this is the most straightforward version of paneling possible for clarity. And that I knew that was coming, which is why I was I have to make sure that the page before it is this fucking buck wild thing with the lamps. And then, I think you have the 9th page.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Are you ready to see the last
Yeah.
page?
Yeah.
Let us see. Bam.
And that is me fleeing the office. And I decided, if the office can be represented entirely by the number of lamps in it, then me bursting out of a light bulb into the black void of nothingness makes sense, because I ran away from the office, and I don't really remember the rest of that night. I know that I woke up the next day in bed next to Ray, and everything was fine. So he found his way home, I found my way home, and everything was right. But at that point, I just had to get away.
Which this comes back to you saying you don't draw the world's strongest punch on your splash pages. You draw small people's moments of loneliness.
Yeah.
Anything else? Let's talk about splash pages just real quick before I mention how Ray is the hero of the story. Is it always? I love him throughout the whole comic so far. Best character. Is there anything else that you would tell creators when deciding how to do a splash page? Any other tips or advice on what to choose?
A splash page. Okay, there are 3 images that can be the same size: the splash page, the cover, and the pinup. Pinups are the most poorly thought through, irrelevant part of comics. I don't give a shit about them. No one should.
Yes.
They're not story. They're pretty images of characters. They're for people who aren't there to read, and that's fine. If you want to, when you see a cover that looks like a pinup, it can go fuck itself.
Go off, Queen.
A cover should convey story. A cover should convey a lot of story, ideally, or at least tone and mood. You can imply 9 different things happening with the image of a cover. And a splash page can do the same, but a splash page should be about freezing someone in a moment. You are saying the thing that is happening right now that is the fastest possible moment of this comic. Because, you got to think about, if every page is a unit of time and those units are not equal, then the more panels you have on a page, the longer that unit of time is going to feel like for the reader, or the more of their real lifetime it's going to take up. If you are doing a splash page, that is your fucking Andy Warhol moment. You are hitting them with art that has to give them the entire meaning immediately. A cover is designed to capture someone and then bring them in so they look at it longer. So that they will then, they're like, you capture them and then they go, oh, I wonder. You want to give them questions. A splash page is to say, this is how you should feel right now. This is how the character is feeling right now. And there is nothing else to be gained from it. It can be pretty. You can look at it for longer. It can be dramatic. But you are capturing a millisecond with a giant fucking image, and it better be either insanely like graphic and dynamic, or like whatever. It has to be dynamic, it has to be big, it has to be bold. And then if you want to do something where your splash page has 4,000 details in it, if you want to do some fucking League of Extraordinary Gentlemen type shit, go for it. But you need to know that the first thing that hits them is the most important thing about that page. And that might be a punch. It might be a kick. It might be a big jump from Spider-Man and his fun friends. But like, it needs to be, choose what the most important thing is and have it hit first.
Absolutely. There are a handful of times I get pieces of advice on this and I go, oh, I'm going to remember that forever. This is one where I'm like, this is probably the best piece of advice on a splash page I've got so far.
Great.
Mr. Fairgray, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed the heck out of it. Mr. Hakimi here says, fuck, that was fun. What a beautiful page. Man, that was good. Where can people find you on the internet?
So if people go to kickrichard.com, that'll take them to, right now, the Kickstarter for Oops All Richards. And at any time ever, it'll take you to whatever I'm kickstarting, because as I mentioned, I'm putting out 20 books this year, so I will constantly have things up on that platform. So kickrichard.com, very easy to remember. If people want to find me on my day-to-day life, Richard Fairgray on Blue Sky, or Dicks by Richard on Blue Sky if you want to see my beautifully drawn dicks, new dicks every day.
Every day.
We're coming up on a year of dicks, at least one dick per day, and most of the time more. Yeah, I mean that's sort of it. I don't really do Instagram. I think it sort of sucks. I miss the days when Instagram didn't have video. It was quite nice back then. I'm not on Twitter, and I will always call it Twitter. I am not. My website is so outdated. I haven't touched it in 5 years. But if you want to go read 2,000 pages of comics by me for free, richardfairgray.com will get you covered. I got every issue of Blastosaurus is up there. But by the way, Blastosaurus will be relaunching on April 8th next year. I'm saying that out loud as many public places as I can to force myself to do it, because April 8th next year is the 20th anniversary of that comic.
Oh.
And the relaunch will have, this is going to be the first time that there will be no one else influencing what I do with Blastosaurus. No shitty publishers, no one who has ideas for how it could be turned into toys. This is going to be me doing the exact version I've always wanted to do. A retired mutant crime fighter who's a local celebrity who works at a fucking laundromat.
I cannot wait. Actually, I'm going to go read Blastosaurus now. But thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate you coming on. And then, Mr. Hakimi says some of my friends actually grew up with that comic, so that's also great too. There we go.
Fucking wonderful.
Everyone else who showed up tonight, I appreciate you all, and you guys all have a wonderful night.
Welcome to my emotional Thunderdome. I am creative, nothing